Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and I talk a lot about Salesforce. Today we're going to be covering what is Trailhead and kind of like all the different aspects of Trailhead. I want this to be like a Trailhead 101 to help you as a new person within Salesforce, or even if you've been on Salesforce for a while, how to use Trailhead, how to navigate, how to use Trailhead to help you understand the different aspects of Salesforce and to help you understand the different concepts and functionalities of Salesforce. Personally, when I got started on Salesforce Trailhead, there wasn't a lot of good resources on how to use Trailhead. It was really confusing on how to use it and the different parts of Trailhead. So we're gonna go into all of those different aspects. I will leave timestamps down below to all the different aspects and the different things that we're gonna cover within this video. It will be a fairly long video, so feel free to come back to it if you would like, save it to kind of understand what parts equal what things. Let me kind of go over what Trailhead is in general. So you probably by now know what Salesforce is, but Trailhead is a way for you to learn Salesforce using a interactive platform to get hands-on with free learning tools. And that's going to be through different things like badges, modules, which is going to be a lot of reading, maybe some YouTube videos or other videos that Salesforce has put out, and maybe hands-on projects to help you understand the different features, as well as super badges. It's a great way to kind of get your feet wet with different certifications that you want to learn within Salesforce. But without further ado, let's go ahead and actually jump into Trailhead and I will show you around.
All right, now that we are in Trailhead, let's go ahead and start off with the recording. So I'm currently on my profile, and this is the first thing I want to start off with when talking about Trailhead. So I am logged in, and so when I typed in Trailhead, it automatically brought up my profile, and it will show me a couple of different things. It'll show me my current rank, which we'll go over right after this section, but it'll show me my current rank within Trailhead, which is a way to help motivate you to get more badges and get more points within Trailhead. So other things that we can see here is we have recommendations of different modules and badges that we can complete. So I've got quick look badges that are being recommended, such as custom fields, DevOps Center, and Einstein GPT. Now, if we scroll down, we can come here and we can see any modules and projects that are in progress, and you can see how much progress I have made in conjunction with completing each individual section of those modules. You can also see my feed from the different Trailblazer Community posts of the different groups that I am there, in progress trails over here, in progress Trailmixes, trending topics. Of course, we can scroll down and see more. But I am going to scroll back up and go over to my profile. So this is going to be my Trailblazer profile, so you can see a bunch of different things. Here you can see my name, my photo. I do need to add a short bio. This is my trailblazer.me ID profile. You can see I've got links to my LinkedIn, my Twitter. It shows what my current job is and where I live. Other things that we can see here are any certifications that I have that should be automatically linked from your web assessor account if you have linked those two accounts. And then any of my community cred that I have of any questions or answers that I have asked. I'm not a huge fan of the community within Salesforce or just the Trailblazer community that Salesforce has to answer questions. I just haven't found it too useful for what I need. You can see I've got different followers, connections, what groups I'm in, any super badges that I have, my skills, and then a list of all my badges. You can see a little bit more of my details here. And that's kind of your profile. It's an easy way to look at other people and see what their status is within Salesforce, what certifications they have, how many badges they've completed, how many trails, things that they've helped with on the Trailblazer community, that kind of thing. And let's go ahead and I am going to go over ranking within Salesforce. A ranking is just a way to show how much you have completed on Trailhead. So if you're a scout, of course, you've got 0 badges and 0 points. You get badges and points by completing different modules or projects. Each one will have, so each module or project is going to be worth 1 badge. And then depending on how well you score on the different individual quizzes or completing a project, it has varying different points. So you do have to complete both a number of badges as well as a certain number of points in order to get to a certain level. So until not too long ago, there was only the Scout to Ranger. So that would be up to 100 badges and 50,000 points. So now you can go up to, I think All-Star Ranger would be a 600 badge with 300 plus points. which it's kind of a fun way just to show how much Trailhead you've learned. Now, this isn't necessarily indicative of how well that you know Salesforce. Trailhead has a bunch of different badges that you can complete that go over a wide variety of different topics. You can be a ranger but not know too much about Salesforce because of the different badges that you've completed. See, if you're completing Apex badges, then that would be really fantastic and you could know a lot without being even a ranger and be a developer. However, you could also be a ranger or a triple star ranger or whatever and have a bunch of badges that are on like agile methodologies and how to work with customers, which those are good badges, but it doesn't necessarily show how well you know the Salesforce platform. Personally, I really think that certifications and in some cases super badges are going to be the best way to show your status and how much you know within Salesforce. So now let's go ahead and move on to badges. So I'm going to go to learn, and then I'm going to go down to modules. And here, so badges are, I guess, a way to show a couple of different types of learning spots within Salesforce. So badges encompasses modules, it encompasses projects, and it encompasses super badges. So that's just kind of the generic name for all of these different types of learning things. Now, modules, projects, and super badges are very, very different. So let's go ahead and jump into a module. I'm going to do a quick look because these are really simple, and these will show you kind of what a badge is. So you may have multiple different learning sections within a badge. So this module, because it is a quick look, only has one, but other times you may see up to 10 of these different sections here. So I'm going to go into this here, and a module is all about reading or watching a video and then answering questions and maybe going into a few different resources. The quick look badges are going to be very, very quick, simple, kind of giving you a basic overview of what these different aspects are going to cover. So this specific badge is going to talk about data spaces in Data Cloud, and it's just a quick look. So it's going to go over some of the basics of the data space 1, 2, 3, and the data sources, any use cases. And as you can see over here, we've got different topics that we can cover. These are going to be very, very small. And then you can see here we've got different resources once we're at the very end. And then you'll answer a couple of questions for a module. And then if you get it right, on the first try, you get 100 points. Second attempt gets 50 points. And then any of those after are going to get 25 points. Again, this goes back to your scaling up process within the Ranger ranking system. These quick look badges and modules are going to be really great if you want to learn a basic, simple overview of a certain aspect of Salesforce, like Einstein GPT, super useful, or creating fields, super useful, just to kind of get your feet wet and understand the very, very basics. And those are going to be modules. So what else we can do? Let's go into projects next. So again, this is another type of badge, but this helps you get more hands-on with specific functionality within Salesforce. You're going to go into a developer org, which a developer org is a free instance of Salesforce that has a lot of limitations, but it allows you to test out certain features and learn certain features, which is really awesome for you, especially if you are new to Salesforce and you don't have a lot of money to pay for a whole instance of Salesforce. I don't even pay for a whole instance of Salesforce. Let's go ahead and jump into build an event registration app. So as you can see here, now we are in this project badge, and it has 3 different sections, whereas that quick look only had 2. So if we were to jump into this first one, we could see that it is going to give us an introduction to what we're going to be building. So we will be building a different app. This is great if you are going to try going for your app builder to get hands-on your app builder certification. For this particular section, what you would do is you would create a new playground or use an existing playground that you already have, which again is a free instance of Salesforce, and then you would install a package. Now, Trailhead projects are going to have step-by-step what you need to do to complete these specific projects. So this is going to be step 1. You need to go to the install a package tab and then paste this specific thing there, and then click install for admins only. So now once you have done that in your playground, then you will verify that step and you'll earn 100 points. Now, if you don't get this right on the first try, that's okay. It will tell you what you did wrong or what's missing. And then you go in and you try and do that again, and you will still get those 100 points. You're not going to lose points by having to do it multiple times. So getting points is a little bit easier when you're doing projects, but projects do take a longer time. So if we were to go to the next step, then you would be able to see that we are going to be importing and updating the data model. And we also have different steps that we'll be doing numbered in the order that you should do them. Again, you're going to go through all of these different things. It's going to be a lot of different fields, registration venues, etc. And then again, verify the step. Now, once you've gone through all the different steps, you are going to earn the badge, and once you pass all of them. If we were to go back to, let's go back to the projects, and I'll show you kind of what some of these are going to be like. So some are going to be great for learning how to build certain things within Salesforce. So again, that was just a registration app. That's going to be great for learning the data model and the different types of fields that you can have within Salesforce. But other things are going to be great for learning specific features of Salesforce. If you wanted to dive headfirst into CPQ or configure price quote, which is a really complex system within Salesforce that helps you to have different products that you're selling or the company that you are doing Salesforce for, have those different products with different features of those products and be able to go through and create an itemized quote, that's going to be CPQ. Just a very simple overview of what that is. But if you wanted to learn that, you could go in and do a bunch of different projects within CPQ and get hands-on learning for CPQ. There's also great ones for learning flows, for learning experiences, and maybe specific aspects of Salesforce, again, like CPQ, flows, experiences, surveys, all those different things. All right, now let's continue on with badges. We're going to go into super badges. So these are going to be underneath the credentials tab. Super badges are a lot more complex than regular badges. These are going to be like multiple badges contained within one business scenario. And you do need to have, let's go ahead and go into one. So let's go into the app customization specialist. So you do have to have some prerequisites in order to start on a super badge. I think all super badges are going to need some type of badge as a prerequisite, be it a module, be it a project. So as you can see, I've completed the approve records with approval processes, the Lightning App Builder one, the formulas. And then once you've completed all of those, then the super badge will unlock. And then super badges are going to start off with what you're going to be doing here, any of the pre-work and some notes that you'll need. You will need to create a new Trailhead playground for this and then install a specific package to be able to work on the super badge. And then it'll give you the use case depending on what you're going to be doing. And this will give you just the business scenario and then not necessarily how the project gives you a step-by-step, but it'll give you it as the business scenario. Then you'll be seeing key stakeholders, some standard objects that you'll be using, custom objects that you'll need, more business requirements, and we can go ahead and scroll down. A lot of business requirements. And then here you can see that we have where we're going to be checking this. This looks a lot very similar to how the projects did. So as you can see, we've got a quiz that we'll need to answer and take, and then we need to have a couple of different challenges. So take a credential security quiz, and then create the record types, create the app fields, build a shift approval tool, build volunteer tracker app reports, and then surface the volunteer app. So this super badge specifically has 6 different sections. Now that seems pretty easy to me as far as some super badges that I've seen. Others can have up to, I think, 20 or 30 different steps that you'll need to complete. So it is a lot different than a badge or a module where you're going to be answering a quiz and then also be checking a challenge within your new playground that you'll be using. Salesforce does list this underneath the credentials tab, and I do want to note that in general, this is not a replacement for a Salesforce certification. Salesforce certifications are weighted a lot more than super badges. It is really easy, even though you should do it, it is really easy to cheat on super badges, and so that is why a lot of people put more weight on certifications rather than super badges. But again, it is against Salesforce terms of service, and they can take away your super badges and your certifications if you do and are found cheating on these badges. Again, these in some circumstances can take the spot of a certification where there isn't one. So Salesforce CPQ Configure Price Quote does have a certification, but something that is very similar to it is the Salesforce billing system. And Salesforce billing does not have a certification. However, it does have a super badge. So in that case, the billing certification could show that you have some level of proficiency in Salesforce billing because there's the absence of that certification. All right, next let's go and move on to supersets. So going back here to credentials, super badges, and supersets. Super simple, but a superset is just a grouping of super badges. So you've got the admin superset here, which is a set of 4 super badges. You'll have to go through the prerequisites of each super badge in order to unlock all the super badges. And then once you complete all the super badges within the superset, then you'll be able to get the superset badge. So you've got a bunch of different ones. These are mainly focused towards some certifications. So you got admin, app builder, billing specialist, superset. Again, this could take the spot of a billing certification. You've got the developer superset, and that looks like those are it for now. Okay, and one thing I do want to mention, I know I've kind of been a little bit harsh on super badges and the different features of Salesforce and kind of what it means to the community as a whole. But I do want to mention a couple things that I find that Trailhead is really, really great for. Let's go ahead and go over here to certifications. And then, so we are currently showing you the page that has all the different certifications, or a bunch of the certifications that Salesforce offers, which I personally think is the best way to show your knowledge of specific Salesforce functionalities. Let's go ahead and jump into the advanced admin certification. Here we can read about the exam guide, and then we do have to have a prerequisite of the admin certification to get the advanced admin. And then one thing I find that Trailhead really is awesome at is creating Trailmixes to help you prepare for certain certifications. So now these Trailmixes are not, I don't think should be the be all end all of your studies for a certification, because oftentimes Trailhead misses certain things that are covered on the exam but aren't going to be covered on this Trailmix. So I think it's helpful to look at other people's write-ups of how they passed, look maybe for some paid resources to help you to fill in those holes, but this is a great free resource for you to get a lot of knowledge. Sometimes you may be able to pass just on the Trailmix alone, but that depends heavily on your experience with the specific tool or section of Salesforce that you're being tested on. So let's go ahead and jump into this Trailmix. And I believe just about every single certification that you will find on Trailhead, or that you'll find that Salesforce offers, they should have a Trailmix that covers some things with certain badges. So this specific certification, it'll cover your exam overview. So what is going to be covered on the exam, how long it's going to take, how much the exam is, that kind of thing. Then it'll go through the different sections of the exam and their weight. And then it'll give you the related modules, projects, and badges that you can complete that are going to be somewhat covered on the exam. You will also see some links to either videos or documentation that covers, again, some of the aspects that you'll see there. So now one thing that these do not cover is going to be a practice exam to help you understand how well you are being prepared for the exam that you are studying for. But if you feel like you are learning and comprehending a lot of these, then you could probably gauge your readiness based on that and how well you are completing the projects and modules and those questions. Up at the top, you can see your progress, or I guess at the very bottom, you can see your progress and approximately how much time you have left for these specific Trailmixes. I've completed 61% of the advanced admin credential Trailmix, and I've got about 18 hours left to go. One thing that I do actually really like when I'm studying for a certification is I have a plugin that will read the page to me. And so that helps with my comprehension. I don't have to be specifically just reading it line by line. And I find that listening to something is a lot easier for me to comprehend the information and be able to take it forward than just reading it. So that is a helpful tool. I will try and link this down below. And this is a free resource that you can add to your Chrome browser. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention is that there are trails and trail mixes. So trails and trail mixes are going to be a grouping of different badges. So modules, projects, maybe super badges and supersets that are for a specific function for you to learn a bunch of different things. Like we just mentioned, we've got the ones for the trail mix for helping us prepare for the advanced admin credential. That's a really great use of a trail mix. Other things that you might find trail mixes for are going to be for app customization. You'll find a bunch of different projects that are just about app customization or about CPQ or about creating surveys within Salesforce that are going to cover a bunch of different badges. So let's go ahead and go to Trails and I'll show you kind of what it looks like. So now when you're on either trails, trail mixes, or badges or modules or projects, you'll be able to search for them. Either you can search Trailhead, which will search all badges and trails and trail mixes, or if you are on the specific trails, you can come down here and you can sort different things. So we could sort by different trails. You can see my in-progress trails. If we wanted to go, let's say beginner, let's go to Einstein, see if they have any there. Then we can also select by different roles. So we've got a trail of get started with AI. And as you can see, we've got a module, and then different AI basics, natural language basics, and a bunch of different badges that'll help us get started with using AI and possibly using AI within Salesforce. Now let's go to trail mixes. And as you can see, some are going to be created by Salesforce, and then others are going to be created by different users of Trailhead. So if I wanted to create a trail mix that had a bunch of different badges for the associate certification that I thought the certification trail mix did not cover, then I could do that and then add it to my profile and say, hey, use this to help you prepare for the trail or for the certification. We could also create a new trail mix for myself. Let's say I wanted to learn surveys and experiences at the same time. I could create a new trail mix that covers all of the survey badges as well as all of the experience badges that I could find, and then just follow that myself. And then once I completed that, I could feel confident that I knew a lot more about surveys and experiences sections of Salesforce. One thing about Trailhead that I do want to mention is that I think it's not going to be very useful if you are just jumping around from badge to badge to badge without having a specific learning path in mind, without having a specific goal. Now, having a certain status or rank within Trailhead is great as a goal, but I think that what you should do to be most effective with using Trailhead is using it to study for a certification or study a specific tool within Salesforce. So then you can, get the most knowledge or most bang for your buck for using your time with Trailhead. So that's why I really love trail mixes and trails to help you get a more guided learning path so you're not just jumping around from thing to thing. All right, let's go ahead and jump into a couple of different things. Finishing up with badges, I want to mention quests. Underneath Learn, let's go ahead and go to Trailhead Quests. So this is going to be learning a specific aspect of Salesforce or doing a specific aspect or doing a specific thing on Trailhead to be able to win prizes from Salesforce. So I think this is kind of fun. And each of these is going to have different requirements to be able to enter into a drawing for the specific prize. So currently there is an Einstein GPT quest. If we go and jump into there, we can see that we have the different rules for the quest and who can win and what the prize is going to be at the end. We can read a couple of different things. There are a couple of different badges here, some videos that'll go over this specific topic and things that you can do with AI. You've got a PDF here. It'll check if you have completed the different modules or the different projects, and then it'll show your progress on it and how many points you gained. And then if it is a reading or if it's watching a video, then you'll just mark it as complete when you are done. Again, it's kind of like a trail mix where you can see your progress. So I've got about 6 hours and 40 minutes left on this specific quest. So quest prizes can vary from getting certification vouchers from Salesforce or getting certain swag pieces from Salesforce, and they're limited to a certain number per quest. So you might have, let's say, 1,000 people complete the quest, but only 15 people get the prize. You'll be put in a drawing for the prize. So quests are super fun. Each month they have new quests. If I go back, I'll show you what they kind of look like. So I'm going down. So we've got a bunch of different ones. We've got Tableau, we've got beginners, we've got automation, we've got Einstein GPT, which we just talked about, Data Cloud, learn more for developers and admins. And each of these you can dive into a little bit more to be able to see what the prize is. Personally, I like to come in here once a month and look at what the different quests are and maybe complete one or two, although I have never won any prizes, unfortunately. All right, let's talk a little bit about Trailhead Academy. So Trailhead Academy is a way for you to learn the specific functions of Salesforce and prepare for certifications. These are going to be led by people who work for Salesforce, who have experience in these credentials and have been teaching different classes. Oftentimes these will line up with Salesforce events like Dreamforce or Trailhead DX in certain cities, where you can take those either online or in person. Personally, I have never taken a Trailhead Academy class. They are very, very expensive to take. And so I would suggest if you are paying for your Salesforce credentials and credential learning pieces on your own, then I would say you can find a lot of really awesome resources online that are far cheaper than Trailhead Academy. However, if your employer wants to pay for it, then feel free to suggest that to them. These cost a couple $1,000s, as well as the time that you'll be taking off of work to be able to go into these. Now, some companies will be willing to pay for these and others aren't. It really just depends on the employer and how much they can give towards your learning. Again, these will cost up to like $5,000 per class, and then you will get a certification voucher at the end. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the Hire Me button. So this is a newer feature that Trailhead has released, or Salesforce has released on Trailhead and the Trailblazer Me profile. So I'm on my profile. I'm going to add the Hire Me button. And that is just going to say that I am available for hire. So let's say I'm looking for a job or looking for a new job. It'll let employers know on my public profile that I'm available for a specific position, and you can see my certifications. So I just checked that it is. I've been added to the public list. So let's refresh my profile. And it says that I have the Hire Me button on here. This would be a great way, although I don't know the success of adding a Hire Me button to your Trailblazer.me account or your Trailhead account in getting you a job. I found a lot of success on LinkedIn as far as getting a job. I've only ever gotten a full-time Salesforce job through LinkedIn. And this is a new feature, so it may be taking a little time for it to get up and running as far as the usefulness of it. Let's go ahead and jump into some more certification stuff. I'm going to go over here to maintain your certifications. So once you have gotten a certification, you will need to you'll need to complete a badge in order to maintain that certification. And each certification is on a different timing for when you need to complete that maintenance module. So for the admin one, typically every April is when you'll need to complete that by. So I've already completed it for this year, and you'll be needing to complete that by April of next year. Typically, these are just going to cover one series of questions of different features that have been released in the year that are applicable to that certification. So for admin, it'll talk about the different admin functionalities that have been added. I can go and jump in and show you. So we've got finding the best report type for new records, converting flows, cleaning up inactive pick list values, and at the very end, I completed a series of questions. So now the other side is going to be getting hands-on with a new feature. Typically, this is for the admin. It's going to be a module, and then hands-on learning to where you'll need to show that you have some proficiency in this new feature. So this is in order to keep your certification active. If you don't do the module in time, then you will lose that certification, unfortunately. And this is only once a year, and it is free to maintain your certification. So now let's jump into verifying your certifications and how to understand if you have your certification up to date. So there are two things that we can do here under verification. We can verify a certified professional. So let's say you are a hiring manager or a recruiter and you want to make sure that the person who you are interviewing actually has the certifications that they have. You can search for them by name or email. So I'm going to type in my name, and then we're going to search over here to verify a professional. And then it should come up with a list of Emily calls. And I'm actually really surprised that there's only one Emily call here. I'm going to look at my credentials, and it has, I believe, all of my credentials here. Other things that you can do are check your certification status, and this will send you an email, and it'll show you what certifications that you have and what status you are on with that certification. And if it is needing maintenance, it will give you a link to the maintenance module in order to complete it. So that is super important to do. I come in here a couple times a year just to make sure I don't lose my certifications. It does take a couple minutes once you request that to be able to hit your inbox. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Trailblazer community. I've talked about it a little bit so far. So we've got a bunch of different things underneath the community tab here. You can go to a feed, you can go to groups, group meetings, and different topics. So I'll go to feed here. And we can see we've got a bunch of different questions that have been asked. You can come in here and answer or ask different questions that you are having trouble with within your day-to-day. So a lot of these, at least here, this is talking about being a Salesforce developer, that they are having trouble with a line of code and what they've tried. So far, they've had 0 answers, and they just asked it about 8 minutes ago. If we scroll down, we can see other questions that have been asked and if anyone has answered. And yeah, this is a great way to help out or to get help from different people within the community. There are going to be different groups that you can ask questions with. So you could ask questions within the Trailhead Official, Sales Cloud. A lot of the developer questions are going to be asked within the developer tag or group. There are different groups for different functionalities. So let's say you're learning surveys or CPQ. You could ask questions in those specific groups. Personally, I use these for when I am very, very stuck. I haven't asked any questions, but I often will search the different questions if someone else has asked the question of the same problem that I am having. It's really useful to get the answer for that. All right, now let's go and finally go into Salesforce Help. This is going to be the last thing we'll cover. Okay, so Salesforce Help is essentially just the different specific documentation that Salesforce has for their different features and functionalities. So what we can do is we can go ahead and search the different features of Salesforce. So something I've been learning is survey mapping. So I'm going to search for that, and then it should come up with some different articles or topics that we can look for and learn more about. And a lot of what you'll see on Salesforce Help, as well as the community, will also show up in Google. So if you search for like a specific error code when you're doing Salesforce, or if you search for like specific documentation, then the Trailhead Help or the Salesforce Help, as well as the community questions, should pop up in one of the first few search results in Google when you search for that specific thing that you need help with. But with that being said, that is going to cover pretty much all I really wanted to cover with Trailhead, kind of the basics, how to get started, what it's used for in reality within the Salesforce community as a whole. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter at EmilyCollMBA. I've got some courses on different certifications over on salesforceupskill.com. You can check those out. It'll be linked down below. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.